Let's talk about food. Hey, welcome to Greg Morton Outdoors. If this is your first time here, welcome. And please consider subscribing. All you have to do is click that little button below. And if you're already a subscriber, welcome back. Regardless, thanks for watching. So just hanging out today with Grogu. You know, probably the #1 video that people find an interest in the backpacking community has to be a gear video. But food is right up there as well. And who better to do a video with than Grogu, who's constantly hungry. What I'd like to do today is show you the food I'm taking with me for my first 4 days on the Appalachian Trail and what's in one of my typical resupply boxes. Now, resupply boxes aren't something that are mandatory to do on this through hike. You can find lots of places to resupply on the trail without using them. However, if you haven't been on the website, The Trek, I suggest checking it out. But there was an article on there, and based upon a survey of through hikers, they gave 6 locations where you should send a through hike box to, or a resupply box to, and here are the 6 places. So with that in mind, that's what I'm doing for my through hike. Now, first of all, let me just say up front, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, I don't have any background in that other than, you know, being on this earth for several years and knowing what my body needs in it for fuel to operate efficiently. Now, I know there's a lot of articles out there and videos and everything else talking about the importance of your caloric intake on a through hike. And yes, while calories are important, you can't totally disregard the nutritional aspect of the food that you're taking in as well. Now, I'm sure this video will get some flack from those of you out there in the health industry, and that's fine, but you know, I'm only going to talk about what works for me. So when I picked out a lot of the foods that I did, I kept several things in mind, not just the caloric value of it, but what was the carbohydrate content? Where were the carbs coming from? Were they complex? Were they simple? Was it sucrose or dextrose? Where was the sugar coming from? I also thought about what was the fat content, and for me, very importantly, the protein. Knowing how my body reacts when I'm out there doing a long hike, that's how I pack for the first 4 days. The idea is just to carry food with me to get to Neal's Gap. I know there's more food for the initial 4 days than what's needed, and I realize that, but there's a method to my madness. What's available at Neal's Gap for a resupply, I think is kind of lacking. Granted, it's not a grocery store, it's an outfitter store. So they're doing the best they can. That's why I'm carrying more food with me from the start. So that will be able to hold me over until I can get to Unicorn Gap. And what I'm planning is doing my first Nero in Helen. So when I get to Unicorn Gap, I can hitch down to Helen. One of the other influences in me coming up with my food that I'm taking is I started watching videos from this channel called Gear Junkie, and I'll put a link to his page or his channel down below. He's got several videos on there that go in depth about nutrition and hydration, water filtration. To purify your water, you don't have to boil it. But he gets very much down in the weeds on these subjects. And it's not just him with his opinion, he's actually citing studies that he's researched as well, and that's how he's come to his conclusions. If you get a few moments, I highly recommend checking out his channel. At the very least, there's a spreadsheet he put together of 900 different foods. Anything from the pre-packaged dehydrated meals to cereals to cookies, all of that. but he's got them ranked by several categories as far as caloric density, but also fat content, protein, carbohydrates, you name it. And he's got them ranked from, I guess, like, you know, a heavy food all the way up to an ultralight. Definitely worth checking out, definitely worth downloading if you're a gram conscious individual and really don't care about food other than as a fuel. I highly recommend downloading that spreadsheet that he's got and using that for your food choices. Do you think we ought to start looking at my food? Yeah, Grogu wants some food. All right, let's get started. Well, here it is, food for 4 days. Let's go ahead and start with breakfast and work our way up. So what I've got here, this is my breakfast choice, which I've got 4 protein bars. Start the day with some protein. And I'm also gonna have 2 breakfast essentials to go along with that. This way I can work on immediately pulling in a lot of vitamins and minerals, get a boost of energy, but definitely get that protein going very early on. To mix with that, this is Hoosier Hill Farm powdered milk, which I had here. And if you saw the video, this is Hoosier Hill Farm powdered espresso. You can check that video out so you can hear all about that. And here's the plan right now is to be able to mix the breakfast essentials in my water bottle, throw in some milk so you've got some good flavor. And if I'm not doing a hot coffee that day, a couple tablespoons of this right here, and that'll get things going. And just I've got a cocoa in there as well in case I want to do a mocha in the morning with, you know, with coffee. Lunch, what's for lunch? Well, actually, before we get to lunch, we'll talk about snacks throughout the day. I've got 4 granola bars here, pretty tasty, good flavor. Some fruit snacks. The cool thing about these is each one is going to give me 25% of the RDA for, if I can read it here, oh, there we go, vitamin C, vitamin E, and vitamin A. So that's pretty cool. So between 2 of them, 50% that knocked out. This is something else I'm going to pick up while I'm in Georgia also, is get some more candy bars. So that's kind of just a placeholder. And what I've also got, just some different snack sticks here, the meat sticks. This is the Kroger brand, which you can get at either Kroger or we've got King Super out here. These are really good, and I like these better than Slim Jims. And I just had this one lying around, so I thought I'd take that with us. Lunch is going to be a complete cookie here. This by itself is 440 calories. A lot of nutrition in there as well. You can see it's got the protein. Got protein, fiber, which means it's got carbs. So that's good for energy as well as, you know, getting your protein. And here's the great thing. So if this is lunch, there's a snack. That's a snack. 2 of these candy bars for you folks that are calorie conscious. That's like 950 calories right there. I had to take a coffee break there for a minute. However, I'm not tied to just candy bars. If I find some sort of fruit snack or, you know, a veggie snack, something like that, that'll provide nutrition as well as those calories I need to burn, I'll probably go with that before, you know, just getting some plain old sugar. Moving on. The dinners that I have picked out, I've got a couple of ramen noodles here. We've got a pretty cool Asian Pacific market in town, and they've got a very large selection of ramen, all with great flavors. Unlike some of that top ramen that you get, that the beef and the chicken, it's like, it's okay, it's not the best thing out there. This stuff you can just have by itself, trust me, it's really good. We also have instant potatoes, and honestly, this is enough here for 2 meals at least. And I've got some minute rice here. And the great thing is, if for some reason, if I'm really, really hungry, I can use this in either of these or all by itself, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Let's go over to something that I'm doing that probably not a lot of people are doing, and I want to talk about what I'm bringing that I've dehydrated. What I've done is I've dehydrated a big bag of frozen mixed vegetables, 3 pounds of ground beef, and 6 cans of chicken. Of course, this isn't all of it, but I have enough so in my other 6 resupply boxes, my wife's going to send me a bag that's got one of each of these in there. So I don't know how much mixed vegetables that was to start off with. I don't know if it was, half a pound or whatever, but this is enough for at least 4 meals to add in. And like I talked about before, about getting your nutrition, getting your fruits and vegetables and all of that. A lot of those Mountain House meals and things like that, they're not fortified, or if they do have vegetables, they've got like 2. It's like, here's your 2 peas. Now this way, when I'm rehydrating my chicken or my beef or whatever, I can throw in some of this and I can get a serving of vegetables right there. And this is corn, peas, green beans, and carrots. This is what happens when you dehydrate a 12-ounce can of chicken. And that's exactly what we got going on here. I didn't add any spices to this or to this. So I want to keep it, as versatile as possible as far as what I can use it in. So if I want to put it in my ramen, that's great. Put it in my mashed potatoes, that's wonderful too. But I can use it however I see fit. This is 3, maybe 4 servings. And then lastly, this is actually a half a pound of ground beef. So with the ground beef, because it was raw, I did season it, and this is 93.7. So when you're dehydrating something, you want to get the least amount of fat possible, and it makes it easier to dehydrate. So pick up 93.7%, or unless you can get better, leave your 80-20 and your freezer for your hamburgers. And all I did is I browned this, and I did add salt and pepper to it, because let's face it, if you don't season ground beef, it tastes boring. And I can use this on so many different things with everything that I have up there as well. One of my favorite things that I like to make is I'll rehydrate some of the ground beef and some of the vegetables. When they get rehydrated in the water, I'll add some of this. This is it's a Jaeger sauce. For those people like German food, Jaeger schnitzel. It's probably one of the most popular schnitzels out there. And this is the brown mushroom gravy that goes over top. I think I got this at the commissary, either on Fort Carson or Peterson Space Force Base. That's one good thing about being around a military installation. You can get a lot of foods from other countries because people have spouses that come with them from those other countries, so they request those. This is actually really fantastic. So what I like to do, rehydrate my vegetables and my ground beef. When they get to being okay, add some of this sauce in, and then hit it with your mashed potatoes, and you have just made a backcountry shepherd's pie. Boom. Suck it, Mountain House. One of the other things I have over here, and again, this came from Hoosier Hill Farm. In that coffee video I talked about, these are the nutritional yeast flakes. And the nutritional factor on these, so 2 tablespoons of vitamin B12, and it might have been B1, but the B12, 2 tablespoons of this, and that's equal to 1,400 RDA for your day of B12. I mean, that's huge. And the same thing goes for, there's some macronutrients. There was niacin, riboflavin, and something else, and all of those were in the hundreds percentage of the RDA. And this stuff has got like a great cheesy flavor to it. So it can go well with anything up there. Or you know what? Make this and just put some of this in. It's a fantastic meal. This also will kind of break down and thicken up your sauces or your liquids. So if you're like me, I don't like a lot of broth with my ramen. So what this ends up doing is turning the broth into more of like a creamy sauce. Really good. I was surprised. Normally I'm not a big organic foods kind of dude, but yeah, this was definitely a good call on my part. So like I said earlier, the food has got to have the flavor. Now I did a video on this. It's my dehydrated sriracha there. Woo! So perfect for foods, or if you want to, when somebody in your tramley or your hiking buddy is sleeping at night, slip some of this into their underwear and then watch them the next morning when they start hiking. Yeah, I know. So, dehydrated sriracha. And this is what I've come to call my flavor pouch. Yes. So what I've got in here, a few things. This is a rice seasoning. It is mostly sesame seeds and seaweed, but you can take boring old rice, add some of this in there, totally changes the flavor to it, and it makes plain rice very enjoyable. Asian Pacific Market, once again. What else do we have here? Just picked up some Parmesan cheese packets. And let me get these out. So I did these with straws. I know you can get the small little baggies from craft stores like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, or from a crack dealer, because that's what they use. But what I did is I took these straws, melted in one end, and filled it up with a seasoning. So this has got taco seasoning in it. Let's see, we've got tahine, chili seasoning. Oh, kofta spices. We've got an Arabic market in town, and this is a pre-made kofta mix. So I'm planning on doing this with my ground beef, maybe score some hummus from a store, slap it on a tortilla or a pita, boom. Backcountry gyro, baby. Lowry seasoning salt, and here are two things here. Chicken bouillon, and it's a cube of beef bouillon. Just to add more flavor to something, or if I wanted to, maybe I want, a little soup. So, I get my chicken bouillon, put that, in some water, rehydrate my chicken in there, add a little bit of vegetables and some rice, and there you go. I've got, chicken and rice soup. But it's just another way to easily ramp up your flavors so you're not eating the same old boring stuff that you go and pick up. Oh, and how do you use these? Well, just cut the tip off. Sounds like a circumcision. Cut the tip off, dump out what you need, pinch it together, reseal it with a lighter, boom, you're good to go. I've got all these also in my resupply boxes coming to me. But speaking of soup, how many times, especially when you're cold, you're wet, you're tired, and you know what, you just want, a hot beverage or something to help warm you back up. And if it's late at night, you don't want to have anything with caffeine in it. I mean, I'm not a big tea drinker, so, and decaf to me that's sacrilegious. So, at night, I'm not going to have a cup of coffee because I don't want to stay up all night. But if I want something warm to kind of heat me up from the inside out, and that's why I just grabbed some cup of soup. These are very light. I don't know, maybe half an ounce for all of them. But they're very light, and you know what? It doesn't take anything to make them. And it'll hit the spot on those days when you're like, I'm cold, I'm wet, I'm miserable, lift up my spirits. There we go. So when you're sitting in your tent, get your hot water going and have some soup. Hey, it worked when you were a kid when you were sick, so why shouldn't it work when you're an adult? And all this food, of course, is going to be carried in my food bag here from Hilltop Packs. Thank you, Ben and company. Did a great job with it. I'll also, like everybody else, carry a gallon Ziploc bag for trash. And this, I don't have a koozie, but this is what I use here. So this is actually turned inside out. And it's just one of those insulating bags, so when somebody mails you something, like a company does, that they could melt or whatever, they'll pack it in one of these. Well, I've found that this will not melt up against a hot cook pot, and so I can just set that in there. Or when I get my Mountain House meals and Peak Refuel and all of that, I can slide that entire bag in there as well and just kind of flip it over there and set it up against a rock or something. And it's worked amazingly well. I was really surprised how well it did work. Now the bubbles, the welds between the bubbles, the heat has caused those to kind of fall apart and dissipate. So the welds aren't as good as they were when I first used it, but it works great. So, and oh my God, it weighs, I don't know, next to nothing. You probably can't see it, but this, everything that was on the table, just weighing it out here, comes to 6.13, 6 pounds, 13 ounces. So almost 7 pounds right there in that bag. And I got it. That, you know, it might be kind of heavy. And I definitely have more food than what I need to get to Neil's Gap, but that's intentional. The whole resupply aspect of this and having boxes already made up, ready to go, it's kind of interesting because if you ask some people, like I reached out to Kyle O'Grady over there, Kyle Hates Hiking, and he didn't have any resupply boxes sent. The only thing he did have sent was, I guess he bought some stuff off of Amazon, but that was it. And actually this one is the box for Fontana Dam, Fontana Village, and that's right before the Smokies. Evidently, the Fontana Village at the lodge and whatever, they do have some resupply stuff, but it sucks. So basically you just get a few days, get up the road a piece, and then go out of the Smokies into Gatlinburg and resupply for real there. I really don't want to do that. I'd rather press forward and knock out the Smokies, and then on the end of the Smokies, then go take a zero and rest my weary bones. Anyway, this is the box for there, and unlike the first one, I do have some of the meals here. Got some meals for Christmas, and I also got a gift card for Sierra Trading Post, so I used that to go buy some meals there. Well, I figure by this time, and also going up to the Smokies, by that time I should have a decent appetite where I'm able to consume a whole one of these. So we've got that going on. But I still have, you know, the mashed potatoes, the ramen, and there's enough food here for 5 days. I figured in Fontana Village I'll probably have to buy something. So, you know, I do what I can to kind of limit the cost. And you didn't see any of these in previous ones, which, by the way, Walmart is making a barbecue pulled pork in a package, and I've got some of those in other boxes. Looking forward to trying that. And I talked about this in a video a while ago. The Bumblebee brand, this has a spoon up here, and it folds up to be that big, and it weighs, honestly, a gram. So, you know, how many times you heard stories about people losing their spork or their spoon or whatever on trail, and they're having to use their tent peg or tent stake to eat their food? Not if you have one of these in your ditty bags. Like I said, they're only this big. They fold up that small. So it's a lot better than using your damn dirty old tent stake. So these are going to be lunch. That's why I've got those. Jaeger sauce again. for breakfast on these. You know, I do have the breakfast essentials, but I'm thinking by that point I might be a little burned out on these. However, I did throw a couple in there just in case I want to do that breakfast on the go. Let's see. Oh, yep, I already have my yeast flakes in here. A little bit more of the milk. These are excellent if you've never had them before. You can actually buy them in like big boxes at Costco. But these are the raspberry and I think the blueberry. Awesome. And there's 2 in each. Great to snack as you're going. Got my various snack sticks here. A little bit more cup of soup. Different candy. Had these suckers lying around, so I said, why not? Let me go ahead and grab them. Just like I've got a mishmash of the flavor packets for your water here. I've got all different types listed, or all different types in here. That's one thing that wasn't in my food bag that I will be picking up when I get into Georgia. Fruit snacks. I love these. I don't know what it is, but I love these peppermint sticks. And they're fantastic for, when you're just cruising down the trail, put one in your mouth like a cigar or something like that, and, keeps you happy. Just some folders. And got some more of my sticks here, my straws with my different flavoring in there. Might add more to these, we'll see. The rest of the dehydrated stuff I've got in the refrigerator. I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't need to break that out for this. But this is what one of the large resupply boxes is looking like. So I've got this one here and then another one that's going to be going to Monson, Maine, much farther down the road there. But that's right at the beginning of the 100-acre woods. And from everything that I read, people say send a resupply box there because resupply options aren't that great. I forgot to mention, you got a toothbrush in all of them too. Why not? Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel down below. If you like the video, click the like button, and you can also hit the notification bell. I'm going to have a lot more videos coming out before I take off for Georgia. And while I'm on the trail, I'll be posting a whole bunch of videos coming out of there as well. We're still looking to get to 2,000 subscribers before 1 March so we can do the 2K giveaway. First prize, Melons on a Microgrid hoodie that you get to pick out. Because when I'm in the store buying it, you and I are going to be talking, and I'll show you the options, and you're going to tell me which one you want. Second prize, $25 gift certificate to Chicken Tramper Ultralight Gear, my favorite outdoor gear company. Those guys are fantastic. Well, that about does it from Grogu and I here. What's that? You tell them. Fine, I will. All right, thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon.